Welcome back. The guilty pleas continue to mount in Minnesota's Housing Stabilization Services fraud scandal. Another defendant admitting to defrauding Medicaid through a company first exposed by KARE 11. Here's AJ Legault with the latest fallout from his investigation, Housing Hustle.
Hey, Mr. Aiden, why are you covering your face?
Mokhtar Aiden wore a mask in and out of federal court. Here's the face he was hiding. Aiden is the latest Minnesota fraud suspect to go to court and say the words, "I plead guilty."
Mokhtar Aiden is part of the Brilliant Minds conspiracy, exposed in a KARE 11 investigation.
We traced a trail of fraud straight to this business's door. They were billing millions to Minnesota's Housing Stabilization Services program, claiming to help folks like Rachel Lean find housing.
Scam. 100% scam.
Here's one of the ways we proved it. Brilliant Minds billing records claim their employee, Mohammed, met with Rachel in person on March 8th for 3 hours, from 9 a.m. to noon, and they spent a quality amount of time getting to know one another. However, Rachel's addiction recovery provider, RS Eden's records prove she was actually in treatment at that exact time.
I think they need to be held accountable.
So did the feds. Citing KARE 11's reports, they raided the company and indicted the owners as part of a crackdown on a massive scheme to defraud the HSS program.
Brilliant Minds and its owners received more than $2 million in Medicaid billings based on their fraudulent claims.
One of Brilliant Minds' owners, Abdi Fattah Mohammed, also hiding behind a mask, pleaded guilty to wire fraud last week. Now, co-conspirator Mokhtar Aiden has done the same, admitting to a federal judge they billed for housing services not provided and inflated hours for the services they did provide. They've been ordered to pay back the stolen millions, and their sentences will be determined at a later date.
The remaining 2 co-defendants appear set to plead guilty as well next week. I'm KARE 11 investigative reporter AJ Legault. Follow for more news.
The Minnesota DNR needs your help designating the next state park license plate. The theme is the North Shore and Lake Superior, celebrating their scenic beauties. Anyone can submit their ideas starting in September. Finalists will be chosen in November, and Minnesotans will get to vote for their favorite. The winning design is expected to be available in January, with proceeds supporting park maintenance and operations. Scam calls impersonating federal and local government agencies have been on the rise this year, prompting warnings about criminals who are using very personal information to pressure people to pay money out of fear. Kent Erdahl has one example playing out right here, right now.
Thinking it's spam.
After ignoring an unknown caller on Tuesday,
This is the voicemail that was left for me.
Ashley Bray heard something she couldn't shake.
This is Sergeant Rick Ashby with the Pine County Sheriff Department.
I have some estranged family up there, and I've been kind of waiting for years to get like a something's wrong call.
I need for you to give me a call back as soon as you hear this correspondence.
You know, to me, that sounds like somebody's dead. I panicked and called it back.
That's when the Roseville teacher became even more concerned.
You are in contempt of court for not appearing at a hearing as an expert character witness for a sexual assault case against one of your colleagues at Roseville area schools. He rattled off my address and then my specific work site within Roseville area schools. And I kept saying, how do I know this isn't a scam? And I asked for the judge on the case, which he gave me, a real judge. He gave me the actual number to the Pine County Sheriff's Department. He was then getting snippy with me and told me that I was wasting his time. And then he was giving me his badge number, and the call dropped.
Then Ashley called the real Pine County Sheriff's Office.
They informed me that this was not the first time that day that had happened.
I don't know the number, but it's definitely been several.
Chief Deputy Scott Grice says they warned residents about the scam on Facebook yesterday. But by this morning, the fake Sergeant Ashby even called a member of his staff,
Saying that they're from the sheriff's office, even though they were calling my employee who worked at the sheriff's office and was currently working at the sheriff's office.
Grice says they tried reeling the scammer in.
Are you local? Can you come meet with me? Type thing. This one lasted a little bit longer than most, but they eventually hang up on us.
Unfortunately, he says these types of scams are becoming more convincing and frequent.
The biggest thing is keeping people aware.
I texted our teacher group chat a warning, this has happened. If someone calls you, it's a scam, to which Shannon replied, that happened to me this year.
And as I'm on the phone, I'm like, this is a scam.
Shannon Schuver says her caller accused her of missing a grand jury subpoena in Ramsey County.
They knew I was with my kids and I was the only adult. They also kind of used my teaching license potentially being taken away if it got to a criminal level.
And it was enough to convince her to visit several Bitcoin ATMs and send the scammers more than $2,000.
I felt so down on myself for, I don't know, months and embarrassed and shamed.
But not anymore.
I've been trying to spread the word.
If you get that call, keep pushing, keep asking questions, because I think that's probably what happened, because I wouldn't let it go.
Kent Erdahl reporting. Well, the experts say that that is good advice, because if you simply hang up on them, some scammers have been known to call back and increase their threats. At the end of the day, you should never give your personal info nor money to anyone who calls unsolicited. Stick with us. We got more news and weather coming up after the break.